Many famous people quit the entertainment industry, and it's usually because of some negative experience. Christina Applegate, who suffers from multiple sclerosis, is one of those people who does it after receiving a serious diagnosis of illness. Roseanne Barr, whose racist tweet made headlines in 2018, is just one example of the many people who prefer to stay out of politics. Playing Tom Iceman Kazansky in Tom Cruise's 1986 smash hit Top Gun catapulted Val Kilmer to stardom. Since his first film, 1984's Top Secret, as Nick Rivers, Kilmer has remained in the film industry and appeared in nearly every picture since then, despite a throat cancer diagnosis and numerous accusations that he is difficult to work with on set. Kilmer has maintained a steady work schedule despite appearing in numerous critically acclaimed films, including The Doors, 1991, and Batman Forever, 1995, in which he played the iconic role of Jim Morrison, 1995. However, even before he gained fame, he had a tough life. The actor dealt with a lot of issues, like death and broken relationships, when he was a child. As an adult, he became famous, and these experiences impacted him. You can learn the tragic details of Kilmer's life if you read on. Val Kilmer's home life changed drastically after his parents, Eugene and Gladys, divorced when he was 9 years old. To all appearances, he was the only one among his friends who was escaping terrible hardship. As Kilmer explained to the Telegraph, "At the time it was clear to me that this was the worst thing I'd ever been through. An unusual occurrence, that is what it was perceived as, that something terrible had transpired." Val, Mark, and Wesley Kilmer all lived with their uncle Eugene after their parents divorced, but Val and his father had a tense relationship. He remarked, "For a very long time, things didn't go well between my father and me." After Eugene's death in 1995, Val and Mark got into an argument over his estate, further demonstrating their ill will toward one another. The brothers reportedly began getting along again after Val's 2015 throat cancer diagnosis, according to a source who spoke with Radar. According to Mark, Val has no example in his life of a good relationship he can look to. Mark is a well-regarded psychologist, so he doesn't see eye to eye with Val's Christian Science beliefs, according to the individual. It has caused a rift between them in the past, but now they're finally getting closer again. Although Val Kilmer got along well with his younger brother, he may have struggled with his father and older brother. Consequently, he was deeply saddened by the tragic accident that claimed the life of Wesley Kilmer in 1977. Upon witnessing Wesley's seizure, the maid who was caring for him hurriedly ran to the store, but Wesley, who suffered from epilepsy, drowned in a spa close to the pool, according to records from the Los Angeles coroner's office. Wesley aspired to be a director, and Val informed the Telegraph about him. "Let me tell you about my little brother. He was a phenomenal artist, an absolute mastermind. His funeral was attended by adults and children alike, and it was truly remarkable. He considered them all friends. To be honest, I was astounded by him." Val, who shocked the director of Top Gun Maverick with his praise, believed he could have succeeded like Steven Spielberg or George Lucas. He was willing to sacrifice everything to achieve his goals. Val was devastated by the loss, but he had to put his own aspirations first. Upon receiving his acceptance letter from Juilliard, the aspiring actor wasted no time in rushing from Wesley's funeral to begin his journey to stardom. Wesley, though, was never far from his thoughts. As Val's fame grew, he began checking into hotels using his late brother's name. Val Kilmer's career seemed to be on the brink of a drastic change if Top Gun had not happened. According to Kilmer's 2020 autobiography, I'm Your Huckleberry, he initially had no interest in being in the film or playing the role of Iceman. Not wanting the part, he told NBC News, "The film was boring to me. I was uninterested in the story." He was coerced into going to the audition by his agent. Kilmer made an intentional effort to fumble the audition. I read the lines indifferently, and yet amazingly, I was told I had the part, said the actor. I felt more deflated than inflated. In the end, he came around to the idea of Top Gun, which grossed nearly $8.2 million at the box office in the US during its opening weekend. After hearing that he would not be asked back for the 2022 sequel, Top Gun Maverick, Kilmer was obviously disappointed. Instead of doing all he could to get out of playing Iceman and reuniting with Tom Cruise, he went all out this time around. An entire storyline involving Iceman was conceived by Kilmer for Top Gun Maverick. I had not only talked to the producers, but I had also made up sad scenes with Iceman, said the actor. The producers just did it. Cruise took a risk. There was no one cooler than Cruise. The first weekend of the 1995 film Batman Forever grossed more than $52.7 million in theaters around the US, while George Clooney plays the superhero in the 1997 film Batman and Robin. Lead actor Val Kilmer is conspicuously absent. Director Joel Schumacher and actor Val Kilmer, who could be an even better Batman than Robert Pattinson, had a tense working relationship. Speaking to The Telegraph, Schumacher criticized Kilmer, calling him childish and impossible, and calling him the most psychologically disturbed human being I have ever worked with. Not only does Schumacher not think highly of Kilmer, but he is also notoriously critical of his own work. His reputation in Hollywood took a nosedive when he was first starting out. Many filmmakers have spoken out about their negative interactions with him over the years. According to John Frankenheimer, the second director of The Island of Dr. Moreau, who spoke to Entertainment Weekly, I don't like Val Kilmer, I don't like his work ethic, and I don't want to be associated with him ever again. Supposedly, Kilmer once used a cigarette to set fire to a Dr. Moreau shooter, warned his co-workers not to look at him while filming The Saint in 1997, and shot a prop gun in 1993's The Real McCoy, when director Russell Mulcahy refused to let him direct a scene as he wanted. Defending his actions, Kilmer stated, "If I'm demanding, which I don't think I am, it's for the good of the picture." While filming Willow in 1988, Val Kilmer, who was later cast off the show in 2022, and Joanne Whalley fell head over heels for each other. Not long after their first meeting, they tied the knot. However, their brief romance was never intended to endure indefinitely. Kilmer viewed CNN from his hotel room while filming The Island of Dr. Moreau in the Virgin Islands. 8 years later, he was taken aback to learn that Whalley had decided to end their marriage due to their deteriorating relationship. Contemporary divorce is an incredibly strange phenomenon. It was on television that I learned I was divorcing. If you asked Kilmer, he would have to agree that it was strange. Despite this, he exerted great effort to shield his two children from the same kind of trauma he had as a child. Mercedes, who was born in 1991, and Jack, who was born only a few weeks prior to the divorce. In his opinion, being divorced is now the norm. It's not something bad now that parents just love each other differently, and say the things that counselors teach them to say when they don't know what to say to their kids. Mercedes, Jack and Kilmer's two sons, Jack and Mercedes, are the three individuals with whom he has a close relationship. He co-starred with his daughter in the 2020 film Pay Dirt, and in 2021, he served as both an associate director and narrator for the film. Val, body acceptance was nearly non-existent in the early 2000s, when tabloids published entire stories about celebrities' weight gains and losses. Today, people may be happy with their bodies. Val Kilmer was the subject of several articles like these. One titled "Val Kilmer Goes from Batman to Fat Man" appeared in the 2007 edition of the Daily Mail, following an image of the actor seen on the beach, without a six-pack. Then in 2012, the star's thinness was the subject of press criticism. Kilmer reportedly got back on track with his health by eating better and exercising more every day, after realizing he wasn't satisfied with it, according to a TMZ source. Kilmer, sick of people judging him by his appearance, took to Facebook to explain that he, too, had to slim down for a role he was writing and directing about Mark Twain. "I'm utterly defeated in this insane town," he went on to say. Too thin. After hearing rumors that he had been overweight for a long time, Mark Twain was a lean man, and now I am too, after putting in my regular amount of work, optimal physical condition, participating in holiday fun with my kids, creating art while revising, meeting actors, getting ready to direct my film, and of course shopping. The funds available to Val Kilmer have been limited on occasion throughout the years. His 328-acre Pecos River Ranch in New Mexico was subject to a lien in 2011 by his ex-wife Joanne Wally, who was owed $27,500 in child support and who had not received it. It was a major one. Wally also levied a charge on her ex-husband's property in 2007, but by 2008, the issue had been resolved. Additionally, in 2013, Kilmer was hit with a $500,000 lien due to Executive Consulting's claims that he had hired them in 2011 to assist with his financial issues, but had failed to pay the $128,000 they had agreed to. A number of tax issues arose for the celebrity as well. His home was garnished by the Internal Revenue Service in 2010 for failing to pay $500,000 in back taxes. Kilmer listed his ranch in New Mexico, which was worth $33 million, for sale in 2009, but he was unsuccessful in selling it for years. Since nobody was interested in buying it in 2011, he lowered the price to $18.5 million. After receiving the diagnosis of throat cancer in 2015, Val Kilmer's life took a dramatic turn. Being a Christian Scientist, his initial reluctance to see a conventional physician stemmed from his faith that he could find relief through spiritual means and the guidance of a Christian Science practitioner. Kilmer first refused surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation, but he eventually consented after hearing his children's fears. Even though Kilmer hasn't had cancer since 2016, he is still dealing with its after effects. His speech is assisted by a voice box, and he uses a tracheotomy and a feeding tube. Kilmer remains adamant that his prayers are the reason he is better, despite the fact that his doctors have made efforts to assist him. The tracheotomy, he informed the New York Times, was not due to cancer, but rather radiation treatment. That treatment caused my suffering. However, not all of these new issues have been negative. Quoted as saying, "When one thing is taken though, another is given," by Kilmer on X, formerly Twitter. "My imagination was running wild, and I couldn't contain it. I began to express myself creatively once more, whether through painting or writing. It was as if the art was curative." Actress Caitlin O'Heaney mustered the guts to speak out about a possible assault by Val Kilmer that occurred in 1989 while they were filming The Doors. This came at a time when many women were coming forward in 2017 with accusations of sexual abuse against Harvey Weinstein. O'Heaney was asked to read a passionate scene between Jim and Pamela as a test for the role of Jim Morrison's girlfriend, Pamela Corson, which was ultimately cast by Meg Ryan. While they were sprinting through the scene, the actor allegedly struck her in the face, according to her interview with BuzzFeed. "When I got to the room, and Val Kilmer picked me up and shook me, throwing me down to the floor, director Oliver Stone just stood there the whole time laughing," said O'Heaney. According to casting director Risa Bramon Garcia, Kilmer did not strike O'Heaney in the face, contrary to her recollection. According to Bramon Garcia, Kilmer did in fact pin her to the wall, and O'Heaney was aware of this fact prior to the tryout. For the news outlet, her statement was, "It was way blown out of proportion. I'm not the type to casually consider such matters. There is a fine line between abusive behavior and a temporary outburst. However, it was all for work." The tracheostomy had a profound effect on Val Kilmer's life and career, by permanently damaging his voice. "I can't speak without plugging this hole in my throat," said the man. "If you want to eat or breathe, you have to choose one," he says in the documentary Val for People in 2020. It's a problem that everyone sees. Still, with the help of Sonantic, Kilmer is coming up with fresh and interesting ways to communicate with people. The British startup took hours of archived Kilmer speeches and used cutting-edge AI to recreate his voice, giving him a new tool for his personal and professional voice. The actor made the following statement, as reported by Variety: "As humans, being able to communicate is at the core of our existence, and the effects of throat cancer have made it difficult for others to understand me. Being able to relate my story in a manner that feels natural and at ease is a tremendous blessing." Even though he has problems communicating, Kilmer is still using Sonantic to make movies. Tom Cruise was moved to tears by his performance as Iceman in Top Gun Maverick, 2022, one of his most notable achievements. The script even included Kilmer's diagnosis and its effects. The movie depicts Iceman's death from cancer. Numerous well-known women have been seen with Val Kilmer, including Angelina Jolie. "Truth is, I am lonely part of every day," he wrote in his autobiography, "I'm Your Huckleberry." Despite his prolific dating life, though he suffered through each breakup, the one he had with his brief 2001 romance with Daryl Hannah was about the most excruciating. According to the actor, he sobbed continuously for more than a year. "The Lord knows that I have experienced pain. The intensity of his love for her has not diminished, and he assured NBC News that he will love her forever. However, I still love Daryl, but Daryl was by far the most painful." Since 2018, Nee Young, who was Kilmer's partner in the early 1980s, has tied the knot with Hannah. Nonetheless, Kilmer and Cher remain close friends. Cher assisted Kilmer during his battle with throat cancer. As he put it in his memoirs, "Once Cher works her way into your head and heart, she never leaves. She has promised her true friends her undying love and unwavering loyalty."